Welcome to episode 9 of Meal Prep with Coach LJ. Today's episode, we're actually going to kind of wrap up some of the things that we've been doing in the past 8 episodes. We're talking about if it fits your macros. We've been basing everything off of like a maintenance phase or a base phase. And starting in episode 10 next week, we will be moving to more paleo and gluten-free type meal prep. Okay, so for today, let's go over to the chalkboard real quick. And we're gonna talk about pumpkin spice everything because fall is definitely in the air. And last week we had our tailgate food. And this week we wanna include how can we make sure that if I want some pumpkin spice things that I'm making it fit into my macros, or maybe some soups and things like that. So this is gonna be our focus of today's show, is just showing how we can still adjust some recipes to fit your nutritional needs or wants that you have at the time, and making sure that we're doing that by just adjusting a few things in the recipes, okay? So the first thing we're gonna look at today, and we have here a pumpkin obsessed vanilla glazed scone. Now, I did put protein in this. So here's the recipe, and we added protein to fit the macros of this particular individual. So it has 2 scoops of protein in it per serving. Now keep in mind when you do have protein added in, it might dry some things out. So you might want to do less of the flour and so forth. Again, if this is a recipe that you were making and you want gluten-free, then you would use gluten-free flour. If you were trying to stick to paleo, you would use your almond flour or coconut flour. So remember that the recipes in here, like we've talked about in the past 8 episodes, you don't have to follow to a T. You want to adjust depending on, again, your needs. Okay? All right, now, this one's very interesting. This is a cauliflower soup, and it looks nothing like the picture because instead of chicken or vegetable broth, I used beef broth. And to get the carbs in for this particular individual at lunch, we used brown rice, and make sure we were getting the proper amount of protein, we added chicken. So it looks very different simply because we were making one meal. It was quick and easy at lunchtime to fit all of their macros in that one dish. So here's the recipe for the soup. Again, you can see that there's not a lot of protein or carbs. So if you were trying to fit everything in, you would want to add the rice and the chicken as well. And really, as far as the broth goes, you can do any of them. That's just kind of your preference, your choice, what you would want there. All right, so speaking back to pumpkin spice everything, let's come over to our next recipe that we have with pumpkin spice. This is going to be a recipe that is something when you need just all carbs. This is a slow cooked pumpkin flan, and I did not turn this upside down out of the ramekin. So if I was to turn that upside down, it would look just like the picture because it does have that caramel glaze at the bottom of the ramekin. And this was a really fun one to cook because you do it in the crock pot, but of course in your ramekins, and then you put that with some water in your crock pot and cook it very slow. And this is a nice, good pumpkin treat that you can have if you're just needing all carbs and you really want to feel that pumpkin spice, okay? All right, our last recipe that we're gonna show is from our keto book, and that is the pumpkin spice fat bomb. We made this more of like bars instead of the rolled balls like you've seen in the past with the banana and the blueberry. Remember on the banana that I altered with instead of cream cheese, I used almond butter. So that was a more healthy fat to meet that particular athlete's nutritional needs. And so I did that again with this. Some of you may remember the Reese protein bars that I actually used to sell and make in the past. And this is very, very similar to that, but with pumpkin spice. So it's a really good treat to have if you're needing to get your fat in with protein. Again, this recipe does not show adding protein. That is something you can do, of course, on your own. Pretty much protein can be added to anything that's breakfast related or snack related, or sweet like dessert or something. You can add your vanilla protein powder in any of that, okay? All right, so we are actually gonna head back over to the chalkboard and just talk about a few things. So the past 8 episodes, everything that you've seen that we've had here on the show has been based off a maintenance phase for an athlete, or what you might call a base phase, okay? We're gonna be moving into a cut phase, so that if you are one that's trying to kind of lean out and you're not wanting to maintain that particular weight that you have, then we will be given some options of some good meal prepping that you can do during a cut phase. Now again, you would have to adjust that depending on how many calories you need to take in and how much protein, fat, and carbs that you need. So with that said, some people just like to do strict paleo and they don't like to count anything, just to say, hey, I'm eating 100% paleo. And if that's your thing, then you'll just get to watch on here and get some good paleo ideas in the next coming up episodes. So that will be episode 10 through 22. So we're going to do this for 12 whole weeks. So it'll be 3 months worth of a cut phase that will focus on paleo, which is also going to be gluten-free, while incorporating macros. We do have athletes that have eaten strictly paleo without counting before, and then they kind of hit a plateau. When we hit that plateau, we need to start looking at some portion sizes and making sure that our macros are being met, centered around our training time. So that's where the timing comes in. Okay, these two things are basically more important than timing. But if you're ready for that next phase, and it's very important that, like we've showed in the last 8 episodes before, where we had meal 1 through 6 and kind of talked about some time, that you're definitely doing it during a cut time based around your training. And so that's what's coming up. I'm really excited about all of our paleo things coming up. Remember, you guys, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me at LoriJacobs378@yahoo.com, or you can text me at 229-854-2936, and I'll be glad to help you out with any needs that you may have. All right, I look forward to seeing you next week.